What's wrong with fishing, Papa Phil? You don't like fishing? Or are you trying to make a pun? The, the fishing pun? No offense, this fishing thing bites. Is that like the joke? Should I put a Papa Phil icon in the game? Like I did for Wallaber? The Wallabobber? The Papa Philabobble? Bobbleber? Oh, you weren't expecting to argue with me on the point, huh? Just gonna drop in there and say it bites, and then leave me hanging on a hook. Even I've noticed that there's a lot of streamers that don't actually look at the camera, but for some reason I feel like I should. I'm looking at you, Papa Phil. I'm looking at you. Is my audio working? Yeah, okay. Getting my drink, which is mostly cold, but not quite cold. Found out a fun fact. Apparently vitamin C has a negative effect on Adderall. And there's some drinks that I drink that have a high content of vitamin C. And it so happens on those days I feel extra tired. And I realize now it's because of that. So yes, I will be working on fishing today. I apologize to those people who hate fishing in games. There are quite a lot of people who like fishing. For compliment. And therefore, fishing is a thing I have to work on. I'm required. It's in my contract with Jacob. I must work on fishing. I'm also debating, unrelated. I've asked this question before, though. I always hesitate to ask questions. I should just do it. I should just do it and see what happens. Every once in a while I'm streaming, I get off on rants and tangents about various topics. And I was thinking I should just do that by design. Because I don't design it. I don't come up with plans, but I have a lot of... I feel like I have a fair amount of knowledge I can share with the world about, software development, management. Honestly, software development in general, but I wouldn't be one of those experts that, codes in Vim or knows math. I'm just the everyday person who mostly just knows a lot about how you solve problems and plan work and how to make decisions. How not to make decisions. How to make bad decisions, maybe sometimes good ones. I'm debating whether I should do that. I might just do it without, well, I probably will. Because my track record with asking people's opinions is very poor. Typically, people will give me the answers that they think I don't want to hear. So maybe I should just stop doing that. Maybe the real successful streamers don't ask people's opinions. I just have this weird thing about me where I always want to hear, I always want to reflect. And get sort of feedback of some sort. I don't know. So I guess some people don't want feedback. Some people want to do what they want to do, and that's it. But I thrive on feedback even when I don't agree with it, because it helps me determine whether I think my decision's right or not. Anyway, this is just not a precursor for anything. I'm just freaking babbling right now. So, hey, Killboy. Since Papa Phil has not responded to my question about if they legitimately think the fishing thing bites, I'll move on. Killboy's here. Excuse me. Oh, burpee. Excuse me. Hello, Killboy. Hope you're doing well. So we're going to do this thing that's called fishing that apparently sucks. And you know what? That's what we're going to do. We're just going to do it. I like to fish it, fish it. Let's see here. We're going to make fish visible. We're gonna make a couple fishes. I just want to see what this looks like now. I disabled the fish while I was working on the hook. And listen, sometimes these things take me a lot more time than I had expected. And that's okay. Because originally I was like, oh, I'm going to do a fishing thing. That's like a straight up mapping of what currently was there. But then I was like, but then I could do this. And then I could do that. And because I did not plan scope in a way that would have been, intelligent, I, just started having a party with it. So ignore the fact that there are fish swimming. That's not how it would work for real. But I just haven't switched it off properly. This fish kind of swims fast. But look, I made a little hook. And this there's moonwalking fish I still have to figure out, which I'm not going to fix tonight. But I am going to try to catch a fish tonight. And I think that I might change the length of the hook. I'll make it so this box goes away, and I'm going to make it so that the fish don't show up until whatchamacallit, until the bobber lands. But, I wanted to see how it all looks. Could hang a fish out there. And at some point, I think Jacob's like, well, you should put bait on the hook. I'm like, gosh, what do you want from me? Blood? But I probably do want to put bait on the hook. Look, little fish is looking at the hook. It actually looks like the fish is genuinely interested in the hook when it's completely random. So we'll get, there's a couple things I've got to do here. Do overflow. How do I do that? So I go, this is the fishing area. Can I give it an overflow? Is it like a canvas group maybe? How do I do overflow? I forget. I'm going to use my chat and find out. I do understand why some people say ChatGPT isn't great over time. I mean, there's this diminishing return that happens. You get to a certain point and you realize, it's not going to be able to help me solve this problem any better at this point. I'm going to have to solve the problem myself. But, it's okay. Part of it's learning how to use the tool set. Okay. I think I'll show you guys what I'm doing. So you can see me actually use the Chapatapata. I think we're in a good spot there. I'm going to work. Fish area. How can I make the fish area have hidden overflow? Visually go outside. Okay if they are partially cut off. I find that there's benefit. So for someone who gets distracted like me, or I'm just super busy, and sometimes I can't really do work, but it's like, there is a factor of I can always get something going if I can just shove some information in ChatGPT. And I go do other things, and then I come back and I test something, and then I shove it back in. Yeah, it's a much more extended time, but there's always something happening. Okay, so a mask component. That's what it was. I forgot what the component. Of course, it's the mask. Sprite mask, rect mask 2D. Would that work? Adding. Will this work? I wonder. If I just gave it a mask. Oh, bollock. Why is it? Okay, that's all I gotta do. Okay, little fishies. That means I should probably make the area cover more area. I mean, I kind of like that it would be, this whole area kind of covers a broader space. So let's make the position X 0. I'm sorry, position Y 0. Let's make the height a little bigger. Let's embiggen the height a little bit. Sorry for the random burps. Sorry-ish. And just a little gassy. I think what I want to do is put this here. Well, that will mostly work. But I don't want it to go outside the lines of that box. So we're gonna have to do 4. That's good. Let's try it. Okay, so we got that, and then what we're going to do is when the casting thing is done, I want to hide the overlay. So we have the casting strength slider, and then we need to have like the private game object. So we'll just retain that. This is just the thing that yellow box, because I don't need the yellow box. I was thinking that maybe later it'd be interesting to do some kind of effect that make it look like it's water around here, but that's all flavor. Just flavor. We don't need to do it perfectly. And while we compile, the sound might be music might be just a smidge too loud. It's okay. I think it's an okay range. So yeah, we got fishies. Obviously, that's not Wallaber in the actual thing. I did do a really funny thing and send it to Wallaber of a bunch of Wallaber heads swimming around. I've played piano for years. I used to play it by ear. It sounds much better now that I use my hand. That's a good one. Okay, so we're going to go to the casting phase. And we don't really need the tension overlay, which I believe is... Yeah. I don't even know if we need the tension overlay turned on at all. Because the casting strength... So I don't even need that in there. I just need that turned off by default. Okay. So we're going to get rid of the slider overlay from there. Just kidding. Sorry, you get another bad joke. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. These jokes, man. What I need to do now for my stream, whenever I, someday, get something where I can just ask, instead of dad joke going to a predefined list, it goes to ChatGPT and just generates it. That would be legit. Okay, so I think we're good to try this. And of course, ignore the fact that what will happen when I cast is the hook is there, because the hook won't be there until after the cast. At least that's what I'm thinking of doing, is making it fade in, I guess, after the cast. Find out. We shall see. I gotta make them not be there too. All right. So now the fishes. Now one of the problems is, so what I might have to do is I might need a fish area and then like the concatenated space. Is that? No, that's right. Okay. Because I don't want the fish when they go up to look cut off. I have to let them, the up part, not look like that. But going down is fine. Now the fish just look like they're swimming everywhere. And then we're reeling it in. We're reeling it in. I gotta work on that part too. But I even found a shader line thing that makes it look like it's pixel line. I haven't tried to implement that yet. Okay, so let's go back here. We're gonna go to our here. We're gonna go to our line. I think our line. So our line length right now is 0.4, but I guess it needs to be we'll do 0.3 and see how that works. And then I need to go back to this. So we have the fishing area, which is the area the fish can exist in. We also need... Oh, okay, how am I going to do this? Do I have the... Let me see. Fish area. Okay, so we do have the fishing area. I don't think I do anything with it, do I? Oh, I see. Okay, so we'll do on awake. We don't have an awake. Does this have an awake method? No. So by default, we don't want the fishing area to show up. So first off, private void awake. As long as it exists, we're gonna make it inactive. So then we don't see it. But I'm gonna need an area. Oh, you know what? Actually, I don't even need to create a whole nother area, because the fishing area is based on the collider. I'm a collider. I'm a collider. So what I can do is just change the collider size. Come on. Where are you? We'll just, make the collider a little lower. Got a message from the missus once. All right. This is Composy. All right, anyway. Now we got our collider set up. The fishing area won't be visible initially. And then I actually think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add I think I made a fader. We have a screen fader and a UI fader. And I think I can actually make it so that the fader will fade in the fish. What I might have to do... There's the canvas group. Let's just... So what I might have to do is... Oh, that's cool. It'll fade the entire thing in. That's good. Don't care about it being interactable. Okay. So what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to fade it in. Let me see how the UI fader works. Pretty sure I have to call something up. Fade in. Yes. Okay. So I did make it so I had to fade it in and fade it out. And I think that was because I probably didn't know what I was doing. Most likely. I feel like I could do an on enable on this though. I feel like I could do public void on enable. Like if we have a fader, would we want to automatically? I might break some other things if I did that. I'll just use it like a fader. So instead of the fishing area, crap, but it has to be enabled by default. So make a setting. Private bool auto fade. So auto fade will fade, you know, I'll remind myself. So, you know, whatever, it's fine. This is where hey Sorrow, how's it going? This is where Copilot's great. Like, listen, I know I could have typed all that code, but you know, that's what was gonna happen. I was gonna type that code. It was gonna happen. Why did it? Oh, it reordered things. What did it do? How are you, Sorrow? On enable, we're gonna make it set it to 0 and then fade. Pretty good. Just you know, doing some fishing. Apparently, Papa Phil is not happy with me. About to fly to Europe. Ooh, that sounds fun. You're not gonna bring your laptop with you? I'm one of those weird people that even when I'm on vacation, I still want to work on things. In fact, vacation is when I want to work on things. Because then I don't have to think about work. My girlfriend might kill me if I'm on my laptop. I know. Listen. I understand how humans work in theory. But I am perfectly content going to a different location and spending some portion of time on my computer. And maybe I have a problem. Sightseeing is not my thing. This is why, like, games, you know, there's like popular games where you just take pictures of things. Doesn't even compute for me. Was it a Pokemon game? Or there's some games that like Nintendo made, I think, where you would go around and just take pictures of the world. And Pokemon Snap, I just don't get it. Like my brain doesn't understand. I don't get the joy of sightseeing. I can appreciate a good sight, but it's not really a thing I care about. I think this might just work. You know. Oh snap, Pokemon. Here we go. Oh no, the fish still showed up. Well, they faded in. That's good. That's proggers. Except that for whatever reason, I think it's because the luring thing is... It shouldn't be enabling those things by default. Set up luring phase, which happens from start phase. Update if it's running, which it shouldn't be. Awake. Oh, false. Add that set on. Anyway, well, that's cool. Where in the Europe area are you going, may I ask? Just general Europe? Just all of it? Every place? Like the entirety of Europe? That's cool. Do you speak German? Or any foreign language? German, Austria, and Czechia. I don't know how you say that. I do not. Well, I know that a lot of places still speak. I speak Mandarin and conversational French. That's cool, though. Mandarin is a pretty popular language. Sounds like a lot of work to learn Mandarin. I've been learning Japanese, and that's a lot of work. I suppose if you learn any symbol-based language and tonal language, it will be easier to learn another one. I would assume. Maybe I'm making a false assumption here. There's a bit of cross compatibility. Yeah. I mean, there are Chinese-ish characters in Japanese, so. Pew. Okay, that ish works. Except for the moonwalking fish. There are a lot of borrowed words. Yeah, there are Japanese and Chinese kanji. Yeah, roughly the same thing. They're different, and not all the kanji's exactly the same, right? It's like written differently. A little bit, isn't it? I think the hook is in about the right place. I suppose I could always create more space in this area. So with the fishing game, my thought process on the luring phase, that hook moves completely on its own, by the way, so I have to make it a little bit less on its own, but whatever. My theory on this phase is that if a player is playing this game and they have no idea how to use fishing, if you do nothing else and you just leave the bobber there, almost every time you'll get a fish without doing anything. Especially if you put bait that is relevant to fish that are in the pond. What I'm going to suggest to Jacob is that we always make it so there will be a fish that can take any bait. In every pond. So no matter what bait you use, a fish could get it. But if you want to get like certain types of fish, you got to do some crafty things. Like you've got to, get it in the right spot, or do a little bit of, teasing with the hook and things like that. Like some fish will be skittish if you make the hook move, and other fish will be like, oh, I want that thing that's moving in the water. So this is unrelated to your travels, by the way. Just throwing out some thoughts I have about how this might work. I need to be at like 20. I can make the hook smaller. I can make the box area bigger too. I haven't even gotten into like the animations of these characters and stuff. 0.25 maybe? A really tricky thing right now. Let fish go. I also want to make the fish do like fade in and fade out, or maybe shrink and grow. Like the closer the fish is to the front, it either is full size, or, I mean, fading out and shrinking would make sense, right? I think so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. So let's talk about how I develop. I can do two things at once. And the way I do that is I give ChatGPT one task and I go work on another task. Oh no, what happened to my line? Tom Sutton, hey. I lurked on your stream, but I didn't say anything because I knew that if I started talking, I'd get distracted. And then not very long after that, my toddler, not toddler anymore, my almost 4-year-old, woke from her nap, came to the basement, sat in the futon, and then she wanted me to cuddle with her, and then promptly fell asleep on me. So for about 40 minutes, I was just so, well, I guess it's like when you have a cat in your lap and you can't move. Like I was just like, well, I'm stuck. Can't get back to my computer. Hopefully everything's going well with the streaming. Hopefully you're doing well. Tom, I almost called you Mr. Sutton, but I don't know how you feel about that. Anyway, so what was he gonna do? I needed to figure out, fish. Okay. So I want to do fishing control. That's fine. I actually have to mess with this one too. Almost 4. She's creeping into my room. into the realm of my influence. What are you talking about? She already watches Paw Patrol. She's already into. She's been watching Paw Patrol for years. Years. She's the last holdout. She's the last one that wants to watch Paw Patrol. She's literally watched every single episode. So a good chunk of her life has been spent watching Paw Patrol. And so yeah, she's fully in your influence. That does not sound like creepy at all. Okay. Great. This is all working as expected. Now I need to back to the fish in the fish area. I'd like to add another dimension to their movement. Want to make them move in the Z plane. And move or seemingly move because they can't, because the fish, if they were in the Z plane fully, I guess I could, where are we at with the Z plane here? So like this window, they're all at 0. So if let me go see what it looks like when I run it. Think of the power I have, the power to control the children, and no one can stop me. Oh, that's totally not creepy at all, Tom. Definitely have the power to influence on some level, right? Just think of the children that I can influence. Okay, so can I change? I don't think I can change their Z position because right now they are change all the time. Let me see if I go into the scene. I don't know which one's stuck. If I change the Z to like -200, does it disappear? No. Oh my mecha! What the heck? Oh, I gotta hydrate. Thanks for the redeem, Mr. Mecha Moose. Now that you've been back and recovering from your vacation, that was what, over a month ago now? Hopefully you're doing well. I just clicked the open Discord. I never opened it when I restarted my computer. I wonder where it's going to open. Oh, okay, it's over there. How are you, Mr. Mecha Moose? I think I texted you. I'm going to apply pause, movement, and wiggle for Mr. Mecha Moose. Oh, it's 2/24/24 today. Whoa, what a date. Speaking of pauses, pauses, and wiggles, thank you, Mr. Mecha Moose, for the resub at how many months? 6 months? Really? Months. 8. Your support. Okay. Immortalizing code. Doing okay. Just finishing up D&D and chilling. I'm glad that you enjoyed the double Ds. Like the D&D. So changing the Z doesn't actually do anything here. Which is kind of neat, you know? I guess that's a good thing. It won't affect visually where it is located. But I don't think I really want... I guess... I wonder if I change the Z if it'll affect how it layers with other things. Oh, I did? Oh, actually, it did disappear. Look at that. It just was on top of another... On top of old fishy. All covered in Z's. Where's the fish? Maybe... I don't know if the Z factor will change. We can try it and see what happens. You got all your travel for PAX East as well. That's awesome. There's only a subtle wheeze. Oh, whoa, I'm backing up. Hey, Motzi, how are you doing tonight? Good, just a little fishy. Hey, Rome, checking in with the hype high. We are very likely not going to PAX East this year. We got a lot that we got to do. Yeah, sorry, Mr. Mechamoose. There's a couple factors, but one of the major factors that we're thinking is because we're trying to get this game launched this year, not only would we want to be focused on getting work done, but also I think there's such thing as too much, like not too much hype, but like we need to pause from Limelight so we can finish things and then get more visible again. Like people can get sort of over seeing the things about our game. So we're not trying to like overdo it, especially because I mean hopefully by PAX West we'll either be launching that time or near that time. We haven't really settled on a date yet, but so we'll see where that goes. But I don't know if changing the Z value will mess this up or not. But we'll find out. Z plane. That means the fish can appear farther away. We'd want to do this small variance. Here are the requirements. Fun. We track the closeness with the float from 0 to 1. 1 is closest. Two. Based on that number, the fish will appear smaller and more faded. Either solid or smaller and more as it goes further away. We need a way to set the actual scope for min-max in terms of the size. Here is the fish behavior from before. Please provide added updates to provide. Fair enough. If y'all are showing up, just let me know. I'll keep it posted. Yeah. What about lemon light and other citrus light? I honestly don't know what topic we were talking about. But we are talking about fish, so fish and lights. Okay. So now I got to figure out how do I want a fish to decide that it's going to bite the hook? That is going to be interesting, I think. We're going to have to make some decisions. The fish are going to have to make some decisions because you're all avoiding the limelight. Oh, ching. Got it. I like that. I clearly was just not thinking. Why don't eggs do as well as comedians? They're always cracking up. That's a good one. I like it. Be all twerpy. Okay. So I could apply another behavior system to our fish. Wait, did I already apply behaviors to the fish? I did. The behaviors I applied to fish are more akin to when you're reeling them in. But I could make another behavior system that applies to how it decides whether it's going to get the fish or not. I'm sorry, the hook or not. Right, because we have like hooked fish behavior, normal. These are the behaviors of a fish. Weak fish behavior. This is all for the reeling section. I want to do this. Fishing. What the carp am I going to do here? So, what did I do? I made these fish behaviors more related to reeling. Maybe that was a really bad idea. Get it? Really bad. I could put these in tabs. I could basically make other behavior types. This is what happens when you don't design something before you make it. So this fish behavior is specific to reeling. But conceptually it doesn't have to be. So we're going to do a refactor, I guess. Because I have to have some way to have fish determine whether they're going to grab a hook, right? I know that I'm, gradually making this more complicated, but whatever. Okay, so we're going to do reeling and luring. Fish should decide how to bite based on how much you built up your relationship to the fish. If you give them a gift every day and remember their birthday, change would be very likely. Yeah, well, we're not in a sea right now, but there's an adequate number of fish in the lake, I suppose. So we're going to do this. Oh, cancel. We want to move it into reeling. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a base reeling behavior. So base reeling fish behavior. This is where we get into like... Wait, no. No. Yes, no. We don't want it. I guess, yeah, okay. It doesn't totally matter. I can just, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal this code, put it in here, because I'm quote unquote refactoring, and then we're going to move the fish behavior there. We're going to do this thing here, and then we're going to remove everything that doesn't need to be here. So this doesn't need to be here because it exists in the parent. This is, I don't know, whatever I was going to do with that. Is random is a condition, I think, that could be used no matter what. That's fine. Random range is fine. Weakness percent is part of... Wait, no, this is going to be part of the base. We already have a base fish behavior, so we don't need it again. Oh, sorry. I saw a block of text and it looked like it moved, but it didn't. One of the worst things is that as a streamer is reading the same message twice. Do you guys know that? The worst thing. Weakness percent, we want to check that as part of reelings. That's fine. Settings, strength factor is also one that's part of this. Pull frequency is part of this. Check condition. So in this case, as the base behavior, I think what I need to do is I need to take is random. I need to take the is random out, and then I need to do result equals base dot check condition. There you go. Because weakness is part of reeling. And then applying behavior, that's fine. That's all reeling based. Is within random range is not actually even used. So we're going to remove that. Is weak is fine, and then apply custom behavior. Okay. So I don't need to do, I actually don't need to do the protected virtual, because that's part of what's below it. Okay. So we refactored the fish behavior. Now we got to go into this one and remove all the other crap we don't need. So is weak, gone. Is within random range, staying. I don't have it. Apply behavior is gone. Is weak is gone. There we go. And then we don't want pull frequency or strength factor or weakness percent condition. Only want random range. Then we'll get rid of this here. Okay. So essentially what I've done is made bad choices in life. I probably could have refactored this better if I had just changed the name of the other class and created a new one. That probably would have been more efficient, but now I got to go back and I have to go back to each one of these stupid things here and change it. It's fine. It's not a lot of work. It's just annoying work. Okay, so I've refactored it, and this is one of the things. This is like the most basic type of branching by abstraction, if you call it that. And this is one of the problems you get with the object-oriented programming is that I've created this hierarchy where a base class, which is this one, has a lot of dependency it creates because it, it's the thing that I'm using. But I mean, this is where I think it's necessary because I want some definition around behaviors, and it can be something that has shared information, but there's like distinctive branch. One of the distinctive branches is the reeling phase. The other is going to be luring, which is when the fish are just swimming around randomly. So I gotta have a separation, but I do want to have like a base thing I can reference and say, oh, this is whatever the behavior is. I could get the same effect from an interface, but here's a fun fact for all of you software engineers out there. Unity, because of the way it serializes stuff, is almost anti-interface. Because you can't have a shared interface. It is like you can't have an interface that is serialized. Unity does not serialize interfaces. I suppose you could figure out a way to create something to do that. Compose via the inspector, exactly. Which, who was it? It was... I'm trying to blink. They were on my stream last week. Why am I drawing a blank? Anyway, so one of the developers on Stoff's team group, it's not Stoff's team, but the group of people making Robodome, they were talking about how they set up their system where they have, like 20 different components. Well, and it's like, oh, well, what I can do is I can add, 5 more here and then make these tweaks. And while conceptually there's a lot of flexibility, it's very foreign of a method. I would never program that way. I see the value of components, but I wouldn't want to overload my components on here because it seems like it could get really messy really fast. Clearly they're not having any issue with that solution, but for me, it's not how I would have worked. But Unity's like, yeah, just put a bunch of components. That's it. Everything is componentized, and it's all done right here in this box. Some of it feels like insanity, but hey, it worked. And hopefully my refactoring didn't wipe out all this data. It has the potential to. I just realized. I mean, I can recreate it. Thankfully, I haven't like added a bunch of fish or something. But because of the way I just did it, it might lose the context of it. It's definitely gonna take longer to recompile it because it's having to like change all the serialized stuff, but there's only one serialized thing. Okay, so that seems fine. Good, it worked. Yay! Refactor, reduce, reuse, compose the loop. We're gonna go back to our gamefish data. So we're gonna have to make basically tabs. We're gonna do a tab solution here. Because I have behaviors for reeling, and then I have like the really good and everything. And then I have behaviors I need for luring. And I don't need any other behaviors, I don't think. Casting doesn't have any behaviors, so it's fine. So then we're gonna do meow. Tab group. Excuse me. Burpee me. The tab group is fishing, and this tab is reeling. And I think that will work. Possibly. All of this is going to show up in the reeling group. I guess I only had 2. It felt like it was a lot more than that. So I think I'll be able to do this. So then I'll end up with a tab that'll have all that stuff underneath. When do you fly out, Zaro? I mean, don't tell me exact times because, you know. Just like you're doing it tomorrow. Zaro tomorrow. Flying to Europe. Faro. Flying out in the morning or the afternoon, I guess is the main question. I suppose given the time, you're probably not. All right. Well, I'll see you on the plane. It'll be fun. Okay, so now we're in tabs. Tomorrow evening. Okay. Sounds like a blast. Now, the great thing is because I'm using fish behavior, my refactoring worked. I used a base class. So now I have to do, God, I don't want to change. I'm not going to change the names of these, even though it might add confusion later. But if I change the names, and I got to do like the Prince thing where it's like formerly serialized as, formerly known as, and I don't want to do that. So we're going to do luring, very alluring. And in fact, I probably need to put this in front of it. Before I do that, I'm going to change the name of these. So inactive luring behaviors, and then active luring behaviors. I know I could probably do this like find replace or something, but I don't care. That's time for me to do it this way than the alternative. So active behaviors, those can say the name doesn't matter. So now we have luring behaviors, which there's not going to be anything in them. And I believe that will happen. We're going to call it, just because I think that this will cause problems if I don't call it something different. Okay. And then we don't want to add any behaviors here by default. So we'll just do new with nothing in there. And we'll do new with nothing in there. That I have to do, the behaviors I have to add are going to be different. Which, you know, maybe because they're fundamentally different, I should change the base class. But YOLO. That's all I gotta say about that. Oh wait, I gotta go change another thing. I also just saw that says luring, that says reeling. Reeling? Reeling. Some jokes. fine. Little Shrek humor. What kind of Shrek? Okay, so let's do this. Let's see what happens. Does this work? Is everyone going to collect something? I forgot if I had to do something besides that. Or is it all yeet? Yeah, it'll yeet everybody. Maybe the all command doesn't work for collect. Okay, so we have luring and we have reeling. So now I have the ability to define how the behaviors behave when we're doing either. Reference of fishing active luring behaviors. Uh-oh. I'm not sure what's happening there. I gotta go figure out what's happening here. So, header, fishing, luring, fishing, reeling. Active luring behaviors, okay. I wonder if this has to be like, hey Mendoza, how are you? Fishing, reeling. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I think I'll have to look at it later. Yeah. I think that I have to do string group ID. I think I have to do something like this, perhaps. Not totally sure. We'll find out. What's up, Mendoza? I haven't been doing very many rants today. Wasn't as ranty today as it has been. Not much to rant about, you know? I've ranted about everything. I've achieved peak rant. Now we got our dad jokes and coding. Did you hear about the lad who stole a calendar? He got 12 months. That's legit. Let's go see if ChatGPT came up with any ideas here. Okay, so what are they saying? We got swim speed, direction change, interval, depth. So yeah, closeness, 0, far. Yeah. Existing methods. Okay. So it looks like it would actually apply a pretty good depth effect. Let's see what happens. Which is what? Fish swimming? Apply wiggle effect. Wiggle wiggle. Some dogs have that. I don't know if Rome is still here. But Trooper has a wiggle effect applied. Okay, let's do update depth effect. And of course, I know there's other parameters I need. There's a sprite renderer. Oh, okay. What are you using? Where are you getting that from? I guess I have to get. No. Yes. Yes. Initialize the sprite renderer. Would it have a sprite renderer? I don't even know. New variables. Okay. Let's just do top here. I am, one of the things I like to talk crap about developers who just do things on their keyboard, like, Vim devs. But you know what? They're really good at just without even using the mouse, just doing everything. And that's, that's impressive. Deader. Deader. What else? Where am I going to get sprite render? Does this sprite have a renderer? Or do I have to add a sprite renderer? Don't know the answer to that. No, it does not have a sprite renderer. I wonder if this is an image. I think I could just get the image, right? I already have the sprite, don't I? Thought I did. Wiggle speed. Image, maybe? He's got his own wiggle effect. I guess I didn't do anything with the sprite. Oh, maybe I did something like the child object? So, no, the only place we have sprites is here. I could just get away with doing a canvas group, though. Although canvas groups are more expensive. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Guess I'll do. I've noticed one time I accidentally introduced the wrong type of image, and it broke a lot of things. I have to use this one, the UI image, but it messed up my packages, and all of a sudden nothing was working. No, I don't really want to store it though. What I'm going to do, this dot fish image. Component in children. That's one thing some of the guys are amazing at. They'll navigate 200,000 lines of code super fast. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm always so impressed with that. And I do aspire a little bit to improve my ability to write code in keyboard shortcuts and stuff, but I don't know. The question that I would always ask people, I was saying Mendoza earlier, I was saying is, I've been toying with this idea, and maybe it's a bit arrogant and presumptuous, but when you do videos all the time, you kind of have to have some of that. I do a ton of mentoring in my job, and I think that some of my methods have worked to help people grow. And so I was thinking it's like taking a portion of the beginning of my streams and recording a video that wasn't like this with all the, it would be more simplistic, specifically about topics around what I know, right? Not about like how to be a better coder overall. I think I have some opinions on that could help people, but I don't consider myself fundamentally the best coder ever. I'm a good architect, I think. I have good thought processes and how to solve problems, but I'm not like the best coder. And so part of the thing I was thinking of is like these developers who are super, super savvy at writing code. That's great and all, but what metric do you use for success? Because I haven't had to be that person, but I'm a chief technology officer. So clearly, you don't have to be, a 10x coder to find success in the career that you're going to do in technology. You can do other things. In fact, in many ways, you can be in a position where you have more influence and control over what happens versus some of these 10xers that kind of just have to do what they're told. But again, some of those people like that. They would prefer that, to be honest. So I don't know. It's another really like amazing thing that I've learned in my career is not everybody wants to be in charge of things. La-di-da, go figure that one out. It was so foreign to me to consider that there are people who want to be in a position to complain, but not to change things. It doesn't compute for me. It's like that internet meme where it shows two dogs barking at each other over a fence, and then the fence opens and all of a sudden they stop. And it's like some people want to be in a role in which they're paid well, but they're not responsible. They're paid well, but they don't take ownership. They want to complain and like point fingers, but they don't want to be the one on the hook. And it's such a foreign idea to me that it took me a long time to learn that about, like, when I talk about mentoring people, I used to go on the assumption that they all wanted some kind of like higher level success. Then I found out that wasn't true. Then you have to figure out how to mentor people at the level that they need to go to. It's, again, like, I've learned that over my career, but at first I'm, well, of course you want to be in charge. Of course you want to be whatever. No, some of those people just want to convince you they do so they get paid more. Then you find out they can't do it. The learning lessons of life. Okay, so we're going to see if this chat GPT thing works. I'm not going to mess with the wiggle stuff, because that's all the same. We don't need sprite renderer. Start. We don't. I guess we could do update depth effect at the start too. Although I don't think it matters because it's going to happen in update, so that's fine. Let's see what happens. I don't need the behaviors yet. For a half a second, I forgot what day it was, just so everyone's aware where my brain's at. Okay, now will they get smaller and bigger? I don't know. Now they're all stopping again. Why are you stopping? I didn't say you could stop. Why are you swimming backwards? I didn't change that much code. Freaking fish, man. They're on their own program is what they are. Okay. Hold on. What did these guys default to? Okay, so first off, I want the minimum scale. I'm just going to make it like something absurd. Depth must be the starting depth. Max scale is 1. Minimum alpha will make it, smaller. Max alpha is 1. Collect the fish. I really like the recorded video ideas. On my last project, I did a lot of that, but it was very specific to the project and internal. I'm trying to do the same. Are you considering streaming or YouTube video recordings, or just purely internal? I forget, Mendoza, you said you're at some level of leadership at your company. I've talked to a few people like that, so I don't remember where all of them were from in that regard. Why are you stopping? You weren't doing that before. I didn't remove or replace any code there. It's got to be this update depth effect that's doing it. So let me see here. I need to. But it's only changing the scale. I thought I had a. Okay, so I'm gonna call this sooner. I think there's something going on here where it's like, because it was later or something? I don't even know. I'm a little confused why they're stopping now. Why are the fish stopping? No, listen. I was saying earlier that, ChatGPT has limitations. And it's really good at getting you to an initial something. But it's not good at iterating to the ideal solution. And it has very poor memory. So, like, why I've gotten this habit of giving it the entirety of my code every time is because even with that, it'll change it sometimes subtly in ways it shouldn't. And so I've had to okay, now just change this one little thing. It's really annoying. And I was saying earlier, the part of the thing is, first off, math is not my strength. Ironically, given my career choice, math is not my strength, and knowing how to do certain things with math are things I don't know. I just don't know this stuff as well. So it's, part of the problem. Then the other part of the problem is I don't have a lot of time. This last week has been really busy. And so what I do is I say, okay, I want to see if I can do something. And then I start feeding it to ChatGPT. And then I just sort of iterate it. I'm like, oh, let's see how far I can take it. And then I get sort of stuck in this loop where it's like, oh, it's like almost there. It's almost exactly what I want, but I can't get it the last mile. I've done a little bit of streaming here on Twitch and transfer a few of those YouTube. I'm sad I lack the discipline to do it. Did I follow you already? I can't remember. I must have, right? I didn't follow you. Hector. Developer, engineer, and architect. How did I not? Let's look at your YouTube. You have YouTube. Did you know that your YouTube is spelled with an extra vowel? You to be. I don't know. You probably never look at your thing there. Well, now I didn't realize that I didn't. I want to go follow you. There you go. You have another subscriber. Learn to code lecture. I'm not gonna be able to listen to it right now, but I have lack of good control. I'm gonna go watch one of your Hector lecture. I'm gonna save that. How did that happen? Typing. That's how it happened. YouTube. You Tubi. Taube. Taube. It's the new platform that's coming out from Google. Sounds like a supervillain name. Hector Lecter? Yeah. All right. I got some new content to watch. Why do they do those stupid backwards flips? Oh. They're not getting smaller. I wonder if their size is actually changing. Yeah, their X scale is changing. Oh no, but that's just the flip. Oh, I know what's happening. Because I flipped the scale. That's hilarious. So basically there's more than one place in which I change the local scale. And so it's conflicting. Because what it's doing is scaling this target scale X 1 1. It's resetting it every time. So I think I need to track. current scale. And I don't want to change the locals. I only want to change the. Oh crap! I think right now I can't mess with that because I'm gonna need to think. And one of the things I absolutely have proven I'm not able to do while I stream is think a lot. This is not in my skill set. So instead, we're going to go back to fishing behavior. And I'll play with that part later. I have noticed that in between streams, if I take the time to work on specific project pieces, I can make progress without fumbling along on my stream. And this is one of those ones where like, okay, so what I would have to do if I want to apply this, not determine flip, damn it. Where is it? This one right here. If I want to apply the depth effect, then I need to essentially retain what the scale values need to be to represent closer and farther away, including when it's flipping. So I've just got to, it wouldn't be too hard to do, but I just don't want to mess with it because I feel like once I open that Pandora's box, I'll just be stuck. It'll be my life for the rest of the stream. I've recently discovered I'm terrified of elevators, so I'm taking steps to avoid them. I was a little afraid of speed bumps too, but I'm slowly getting over them. That was a good punny series. Okay, so I know what's going to happen if I play it again. I don't need to look at it again, but I'm going to go back to my my fishing behaviors. So we have the ability now to have luring and reeling behavior. Except what the flip? Reference. I don't understand what reference is. Go back to our fish thing. How does this work? Fishing / behaviors. Is there like a different horizontal group fishing, comma? No. It worked better when I just had it called behavior. Okay. We'll just put it back. I don't know what's going on with these. I don't know how I have to set it up yet. I can also fake the tabs if I wanted to, but it's fine. So anyway, yeah, I think that I think it would be fun to do little informational things, kind of explore ideas. I find myself giving a lot of advice to developers, and I've tried. I've had, it's like when you manage people a lot, you get every different scenario under the sun, and it's quite interesting to deal with, for sure. I think what's happening is the horizontal group is not being applied. How does that? This one I might actually have to go into the Odin tab subgroup. I don't remember how they do subgroups. Tab group inspector becomes completely empty. I don't know how subgroups work. Tab group A, yeah, but how's it? Okay, so asking again since it was missed if I have a tab group can have a horizontal group inside of it. If you want groups inside other groups, use path-like syntax. That's what I tried to do. In the particular case of the tabs live inside an unlisted group called default, so you'd nest those elements like this. I thought that's what I was doing without that. This is from 2020. So I'm going to copy this so I don't lose it. Nesting. Does anyone respond? Okay, so here we go. Does anything respond to mouse inputs inside of nested group? I think I might be able to figure this out. Videos are a great way to avoid repeating yourself at work, especially if you're mentoring people all the time. Well, I probably wouldn't send. I mean, they know that I do this sort of stuff, but I don't think any of them watch me stream. I found smaller you keep them, the more modular and easier to make they are. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of time, so I would probably have to do it sort of on the cuff, off the cuff. Basically, just hey, here's my stream. I'm gonna just talk about things. That'll be my life. All right, so what I need to do, I believe, is the tab is called luring. So I might have to do luring/luring behaviors. Maybe? I think that's how it would get tracked as a tab. Find out. Imagine being held at gunpoint, bear with me, by a literal animal and can only hope the rescue is, bear with me, posting a coded message on Twitch. Bear with me. Okay, so that's not how we do it. Horizontal group on member acted as expected a group name with luring to exist in declaring type. Okay. So how do we... How do I live without you? Tabs. Look for tabs. Tab group, yes. But how do you associate frickin' tab groups? Maybe I go to documentation. Documented. Odin Inspector tab group. Da 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 da. Inspector tab group. Da 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 da. Does anyone even know Inspector Gadget? Okay. So this has yeah, we got tab group. Do we have other groups in here? No. Okay, why don't we have good examples of nested? Okay. Horizontal group tabs split. This is unfortunately a group on top of that. Responsive buttons group. Okay, so responsive is okay. 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 I wondered if that was what it would be. I do. I don't know what I said. What do you call a Minecraft celebration? A block party. I think it's your internet, like the turnaround time on your statements, Rome, make me have to think back and say, what did I say that Rome would be responding to? My oh, okay. I have a story to tell. Please, Matzi, tell us, please. We love hearing stories. Okay, relax. My head is like, I say something like that, and everyone's like, oh, Matzi, don't stop talking. Usually it's like, people probably don't even know I'm talking. Yes, if anyone knew Inspector Gadget. Ah, yes. I did ask that. Da-da-da-da. And Penny was always so cool. Anyway, I entered a study. They are late. My bad. No, it's fine. It's also my short-term memory. But speaking of my short-term memory, so I'm a veteran. And so I entered this study where they're looking at veterans that went to Iraq and their brain. And so on Thursday, I went to the VA to do an evaluation. And literally, like, the folder that the woman had the words cognitive battery. And not like charging up battery, more like assault end. And it was cognitively battering. And I went there, and I didn't finish everything because someone was out sick, so I was supposed to do this like EKG thing, which they couldn't do. But I was still there. I mean, it was 4 hours of this stuff. And they ask, it sounds like they do like a partial or their version of an intelligence, an IQ test, and a bunch of other things. They do like testing your eyes and your ears, and it was insanity. And I had to be there at 8. So like I was I got extra sleep that night, but I was still tired because that's me. I'm always tired. And what? Why do we have 8 errors? I don't know what just happened. I did a code cleanup and then it like broke stuff for some reason. As long it was supposed to be a full day event. In fact, the funny part was it was like, oh, it's going to be 8 hours for the day or something, and then I have lunch in between. They paid $10 for my lunch. I bought a cookie, so I went over that. But and the EKG thing got canceled because the person was sick, and it still took me until 3 o'clock to get home. I was so spent. But the cognitive battery, these questions were insane. Oh, thanks, Mendoza. I think you're doing that to be silly because you're like, oh, I'm going to say something really late. But part of it's like testing your memory and short-term memory. So it started really simple. I had like 4 different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At least 6 different testing tools. It started at, I had a computer with a mouse, and it was like, remember these pairs of words. And then I went through this whole thing, and I had to click on something. So like now it would gave me the words back and said, okay, which of these words were or were not, here or whatever. And so I'd click on the ones that were there. And I was like, oh, that's pretty simple. And it just got worse and worse. At one point, it was like, here, let me show you a picture. Now draw as much as you can remember. Okay, and let me show you the picture again. Now draw as much as you remember. I did it like a few times. And then she'd ask me all these questions and come back and say, okay, now redraw everything you just did. Like what you remember of it. And then there was one test that was just like, oh my God. 12 words or more. And she goes, okay, I'm going to read all these words to you. Now repeat them back to me as much as you can remember. I remember like 5 or something. And then she did it 7 times. At some point, I almost had all of them memorized. And then she said, okay, now here's the second list of words. And then later she went back and said, okay, now can you tell me all the words you can remember from the first one? And it was like, and honestly, that was more fun. I kind of liked it, even though I kept forgetting words. But the real hard one was the numbering. So the first one was like, I'm going to read in ascending order. I'll read numbers to you. So it was like 2 numbers. 1, 2. Okay. 2, 1, 2. And then she'd add a number until she was like 9 numbers. And it was like someone trying to tell you a phone number to remember. She goes, okay, I'm going to read the numbers to you and then you just repeat them back after. Okay, that's fine. And then she started doing like, okay, I'm going to read numbers to you. Give them back to me in the correct ascending order. And then later it was, I'm going to read a series of numbers and letters to you. Give them back to me separated numbers and letters in ascending order. So it was like 1A, 3F, 2W. And then I'd have to give the numbers first. I don't remember what I said. It's like 1, 2, 3, and AFW, right? I'd have to do that. I don't even know if I got that right, but that was kind of what it was. And it was, my brain hurt so bad. Oh God, it was so hard. And at some point I'm just like, I think I'm just inventing numbers and letters in my head because it went up to like 9 slots. And I was just like, oh my God. IQ tests are BS. How can you do bad in IQ and be a CTO? Like, you're just telling them you are a CTO, just should be the test. My memory's terrible, but that doesn't mean we're not good at other things. I probably remember code better than people think. Yeah, I would definitely fail that test. I would do absolutely terrible, but I think it's more, yeah, well, the thing is that my wife got tested for ADHD, and I was explaining these tests. She goes, that sounds exactly like the test she did, which was a combination of IQ and like ADHD testing. And the numbers one is an ADHD test. Or no, not the numbers one. There's one where it's like, I'm going to give you a category or a letter, name as many animals that start with that letter, or name as many animals that fit that category, or name as many things of whatever. But it was also like, name as many things, but you can't have proper names, and you can't have numbers, and you can't have, it was really ridiculous. And so you had to like think about things that also didn't break their rules. I'm curious what they're specifically looking for. I don't know. They won't share what they're looking for because I'm a subject, I can't know, because otherwise it could bias the results. I insisted, like, I really want to know the outcomes of these tests for me, but they probably won't share them with me. Because it's, when you're part of a study, you don't get to know all the things. But it was so exhausting. It was so exhausting. There was a really cool one that was like an eye test, but not like a seeing eye test. It was like a computer. This was one of the testing devices, a computer that tracked eye movement. And then they had all these things where you had to look at certain spots and like put inputs. That was interesting. I did a hearing test. That was another device. There was this little pegboard thing where they pegged with these slots that you had to put in a specific order. It was a very interesting experience. I mean, I don't mind it. I thought it was interesting, but it was just also really mind-numbing. And then during that meeting, they said, okay, well, tomorrow, or when do you want a follow-up call? Which I thought, I don't know why. I was like, okay, follow-up call is going to be like the check-in on how it went, right? To like, ask any final questions or something, whatever. Like, I thought it was going to be like a survey effectively. And so I was like, well, we can just do it tomorrow. And so I had a follow-up call yesterday at 3 p.m. And the whole time I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to call from the VA. They're going to ask me a couple of questions about like, how'd the testing go? And the way the lady set me up for that, she's like, okay, I'm going to ask some follow-up questions to see how you're doing since your test. since you were in for your evaluation. So my brain was like, oh, okay. It's like, you know, how do you feel about this? How did this go? You know, do you have headaches or whatever? Like just some stupid health questions or something. No, it was the same freaking thing. But it was truncated. But the lady's like, okay, now memorize these numbers and do these in ascending order and name all the animals in this name all the things in this category. And I was completely unprepared for it. And I had to stop her. I said, listen, you need to be more clear about what you're doing because I had no idea that's what my brain was not ready for these questions. At the end of the day on a Friday, after a bunch of work phone calls, and now I'm being pummeled with all these stupid memory questions of like I couldn't. I think I did. I mean, I didn't do terrible, I guess, but I wasn't like the best. Tell me the numbers from yesterday. Yeah, well, they did one. The woman did one. It was like 15 words, different words, and she made me. She only said them one time and then quizzed me on them. They are probably just trolling. Yeah, it was something for sure. Okay, so hold on. Before I make a fishing behavior, I need to define. Oh, I'm gonna make a base, I guess. I'll make a base fishing behavior. So we're gonna do base luring fish behavior. So that will help me think about what we want in this. It was fine, but it was just weird. Like it really sounded more like, hey, we just want to check in. But the reality was, no, we want to pummel you with questions again, in a rapid fire sort of way. And there's like there's memory techniques that you can use to remember. I actually did one where I thought I did fairly well, because what I did was I did the memory trick of placing the things inside of a room. But when someone's reading, like rapid fire, okay, drum, house, moon, whatever, star, farm. Some of those are words that I was told. You don't have time. It's like you're just shoving everything into a closet and then trying to shut the door. And so I start thinking, okay, I've got this, and I'm visualizing it, but I don't have enough time to visualize where I'm putting the thing before I hear the next thing. and so then I was like, okay, let's see how my memory is. It's all out of my brain. I think I get kicked out of study because of going too many tangents. What was your question again? Yeah, exactly. Okay. So let's pretend like I'm working, at least. Similar to ones they do on presidents. There was a dementia test. Man, camera, woman. Yeah, man, camera, woman, whale. Yeah. We have a lot to try to remember so quickly. I mean, that's the point, right? You're not supposed to. If you can remember all those things, you've got a really stinking good memory and instant recall. I am better at audio than I used to be, but I'm not the greatest audio learner. If I visually see something, or if I get combinations of things, I do better. But if I'm on a phone call, which I was like, oh God, like I've got to try and take the audio inputs and turn them into a visual input in my head. Which incidentally, again, like the whole thing is that not everybody visualizes things in their head, which is also crazy to me. But it's not like people are crazy, but it's amazing to find out that if you told someone to visualize an apple, not everyone can do that. And not everyone has a voice in their head. Which when you tell certain people, like, you got a voice in your head? You need to go see somebody about this? Not everyone talks to themselves in their head. Okay, so let's talk about how fish should work. Maybe y'all got exposed to some radioactive stuff giving powers. It's a study to see if you gain super memory. Nope. No, I think I have a above average memory, to be honest. But okay, so we have a hook just floating out there. What makes a fish decide it wants to be hooked. So I think one factor is closeness to the hook. So like fish that are off on the far left probably won't have anything. This game is much cooler than what I would imagine it to be. Oh, good. I spent a lot of time on this crap. Here, wait. We should do the fun part. Let's see. Can I just do this? Because the last stream I did, I was messing around with Wallaber's visage. Bunch of Wallaber fish swimming around. They still swim backwards though. I got to figure that one out. It drives me nuts that they swim backwards. So anyway, I think what we do is we designate a radius or like a distance from. So I think like some default behavior, if we're going to define like a fish's interest in the hook. Usually broke AF leads to wanting to hook. Is that a criteria you're inputted for that motivates the fish to bite? Being broke, yeah. No, I'm thinking like I have some ideas, but I want to think about what would be realistic. So I have added more depth, no pun intended, to the fishing game than I planned. But people like fishing. How are you doing? Game looking great. Fishing minigame is essential. Exactly. So to Sympathy's point, I don't like fishing. But if I'm going to make a fishing game, I'm going to try and find things that make it make sense. Right? I like solving the problem of the fishing game. Don't like anything else about it. Most fishing games I played are just like the thing going up and down. You need to push the button at the right time. Yeah, and that's kind of what we were going to do originally. But as I was building it out, I'm like, why don't I just do this? Why don't I make it feel more live? But there is a factor here. Hi, Sympathy, by the way. Hopefully you're doing well. You want to know something funny, Sympathy? I was going to say I know your name, but I actually don't anymore because I think I forgot it. I'm pretty sure I forgot it from when we met at PAX. Because you said, oh, it's like kind of a pretty unique name. I'm like, yeah, I don't remember now. I'm just kind of embarrassed to say that, but I've had a lot of inputs in my brain lately. I looked at a couple of your streams, but today I have time to chat. Well, are you still streaming? I think you streamed a couple times, right? My name is basically Sympathy, yeah. You're working on projects. You got your game. How's your game project going? I'm tracking two different. Okay, so while I ask these questions, I'm going to try to context switch while you tell me about your game and if you want to share any links or anything, because you have your game is on Steam, right? But speaking of fishing mini games, I do want this idea that if you know nothing else about fishing, you could leave the hook there and it will hook. Sympathy is, yes, is the nicest streamer. Yes. Working on game, it's doing good. Is this still the color changing game or is it a different one? Excuse me. Burpee. So the way the fishing game in this context is going to work, if a player doesn't try, they will probably still hook a fish at some point. I mean, at some point they might want to reel it in. Oops, look at that. At some point they might have to reel it in or want to reel it in or something. But I want to make it so if I just leave the hook there, as long as there's fish in the area, something's going to grab the hook. If you have the right bait, you're going to get a fish that more closely matches what you're looking for. But if you don't do anything and you just get it into a certain area, then you will possibly grab or snatch a fish of some sort. But then you can also do things to change the fish behavior and either cause a fish to grab it or not. So the factors I'm thinking of here right now. First off, I want a random factor of if a fish is near the hook, how likely is it to grab the hook? Some of that's going to be based on the bait. Like if the fish has bait requirement and it's not the bait, it very likely won't bite. But if the fish is near the hook and the nearness will cause it potentially to grab it. And as long as the bait is matched with what it would take, what's the random factor that it'll grab the hook? If the hook is moving, some fish will run away from it. Still color coding game. I got sidetracked by some contract work for 2 months, but Die Hard. There we go. Die Hard. That I remembered it was something to do with color. I didn't remember the name. But you have it on. Steam, right? Die Hard, and then when you have to do the second one, it'll be Die Hard with a Vengeance. Except I wonder if you could do like Die Hard with something that is vengeance-y. Or Die Harder. Live free or die hard. Why is there a child down here? What are you doing? Hi, child. Okay. Keep well. Don't have bad dreams. Die harder. Yeah. How are you? Well, without being specific, how are the wish lists going? Not everyone wants to share wish list numbers, which totally makes sense. Trying to finish it in time for PAX. For PAX East? Or West? There's more than one PAX. Okay, so I think I know where I'm going with this. So, base fish behavior. Which I think we have to have conditions, right? So we have a random condition. I don't know if I really want. So one of the conditions of the behavior will be, I think, when the hook is calm. That means the hook is not moving, or it's not like the player's not reeling in, right? So we're gonna do calm hook. Well, there's another wish list sympathy. Speaking of bad dreams, why am I thinking I'm going to dream a lady today asking me to tell her the numbers in ascending order? Hello, by the way. My daughter, my eldest, had a bad dream last night, and I had gotten up to go to the bathroom, and her lights were on, and as I was getting ready to go back in the room, she's like, "Dad, I had a really bad dream." I'm like, "Uh-oh." And so I went and cuddled with her for a little bit until she got up in the morning. She had the same type of dreams that I do. She had dreams about like dolls coming to alive, which was crazy because when I was a kid, the world was a different place when I was a kid. Okay, as a second/third grader, I watched R-rated movies with lots of violence and scary. I watched horror movies, and that was fine. But one of the movies I watched was a movie called Dolls, which was about people getting stuck in a mansion with these like porcelain dolls that came to life and killed people. And that scarred me a lot. And I had lots of bad dreams, and I was afraid of anything that was, humanoid shaped as either a stuffed animal or a doll. I always assumed, there was Chucky too, right? Like there was a lot of really terrifying things. So it's amazing that my eldest is having bad dreams about something that she didn't get exposed to at the same level that I did. And it's like, oh, maybe it just runs in the family. Maybe her family has a history of being terrified for dolls. Dolls are scary, yeah. Parents weren't worried about horror movies. It would be just at what point you could tolerate it, yeah. When I was a kid, I had nightmares about giant cobs of corn chasing me and getting stuck at the gas station outdoors. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I saw that in my teens when Fox wasn't a channel. So I remember before Fox and Fox News and all that stuff was an actual channel, and they were, I guess the way they did it was they opened a bunch of radio or TV stations without specifying that they were Fox. And so a whole new station showed up, but before the station was fully live, they played Killer Clowns from Outer Space on repeat. So that was a movie that I watched. It was great. Okay, so we do need a fishing context. Okay. So I think what I need to do is find out whether there is a reeling message in here. Handle reeling. You have to do like is reeling? Is reeling. No, that would scar me. The Killer Clowns was fine. It was such a B movie that I actually found it really funny. That wasn't scary, but I never watched the movie It as a kid, but I knew of it, and just like the concept of it terrified me, about being near water drains and stuff, or storm drains. Honestly, a really good tactic to keep kids away from storm drains. Show them the movie It, right? Because I stayed away from storm drains. I stayed away from anything that had hidden spaces that I didn't know what was there. But again, the craziest thing is our kids not being exposed to that level still have the same type of fears. So it's like, maybe it's just like in our collective unconscious. I don't know, it's crazy. I think is reeling is actually it is. Okay, good. So I can actually use this exactly how I want it to do. So what we want to do to the fish is we need to tell the fish to either swim toward, well, let's see. If the hook is calm, then the fish will I gotta do like an attractive thing or something. Let me see. What we're gonna do is random. Do I want to make like an attractive factor? Or do like an attraction distance, I guess? How am I gonna do this? Here. You were a teenager when you saw Killer Clowns. I was like 8. Right, but I also watched the movie Dolls when I was like 8 or 7 or something. So I watched the different movies. I watched Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I watched, what other scary movies did I watch? I can't remember when I saw Chucky. I think I was a little older when I saw. It wasn't Chucky. It was what do they call it? Child's Play. I think I have more than 300 wish lists and less than 1,000. I need to reset my Steamworks login. I forgot. Wait. Oh, because you have... I get it. I was like, they have a limit? Like, you can't reset your password unless you have a certain number of... Okay. So, let me think if I can do this right. Distance... I feel like distance needs to be based on a normalized factor. I think. I would do a float, right? So we're going to make a float that basically says, based on where the fish is located in relation to the hook, I think. Right. And we'll do range. I mean, we can do 0. It doesn't really matter. So this is going to be a condition, right? Hook distance condition. And we'll do... Is it a box group? I can't even remember if it's a box group or not. Yeah. So the hook distance will be whether we need to like make this condition trigger. I think that's something that's relevant for most behaviors. So I'll just put it in there. Then we have the randomizer. So let's go put our condition into the fish. Game fish data. We need to go into our calm hook. Okay. Gotta get that Steamworks login reset. Is it a lot of work? I don't even know. Don't they just usually send you a password to your email address? I noticed that Papa Phil told me to drink, but Papa Phil has not responded to my question about their actual feeling about the fishing game, other than the first comment, which was, no offense, this whole fishing thing bites. Usually is then email. I mean, I only realized I forgot because you asked me how many wish lists. I was like, let me check. Oh, okay. I thought it's like you've been having some ongoing problem where it wasn't working. Papa Phil doesn't want to tell me about my poor decisions. Okay, so what I need to do is populate missing behaviors. So I need to put these buttons, excuse me, populate missing fishing behavior. This is going to be in the group. So it'll be in tab group fishing. It should show up at the bottom, I think. I mean, only really, okay, I can tell you about fishing game. I am Minecraft Fishing Pro. Every fishing game's got their own thing too. Like, they just do their things, you know. I'm going to be intrigued to see what we end up, see how this ends up going over for people. I got to make it feel good. I mean, if I think it's adequately okay, it might be an okay thing. People might like it. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, it needs to be capital because I made it up. So then, populate missing behaviors, populate missing repopulate. Right. That's a really good idea. Okay. This is the copy paste world because it's all editor code. Who cares? So, Sympathy, have you accepted ChatGPT in your life yet? Or are you anti-GPT? I think get a Copilot's all I need. Yeah, Copilot's pretty good. I like it too. Oops. I use ChatGPT though because it gives me the opportunity to produce outcomes without having to do a lot of work. Just like throwing ideas against the wall and seeing what sticks. I also don't have the I don't have the Copilot with the chat integrated. I'm gonna be curious to see how that works. I signed up for the beta. We'll see if it becomes any better. Because I assume it can do things like generate the code in the context you're working. So it'll probably have better context than, ChatGPT would. Full behavior list. Active luring behaviors. I think this will work. I do my dad jokes in between. Uh-oh, where'd my bot go? Did my bot give up on me? Uh-oh. How did it give up on me mid-stream? There you go. Which is the most desired summer body this year? The antibody. Really more of a winter body. Because everyone's been getting sick. Okay, so we have is random and hook distance. So basically the way these conditions are supposed to work is if it evaluates that the condition should be used, then it'll trigger it. So that these conditions basically say whether it can or cannot be used. I noticed the last update of Windows 11 installed Copilot, which is basically ChatGPT inside of Windows, which I thought was cool. Not everyone thinks it's cool. There's a lot of people who are trying to turn it off, actually. But yeah, I mean, it's Copilot. It's ChatGPT 3.5, I would guess, the unpaid version. But AI is here to stay, friends. Okay, so we're gonna have a calm hook. We're gonna have to have an active hook, right? And I think we want behaviors that change based upon how the hook changes. So we definitely want like an active versus calm hook behavior. Base. Oop. Ah! No. Only AI I don't like is stolen AI art and music and AI being used to make fake videos that pretend they are real. Yeah, but yeah, it's so hard to like. I don't know how they're going to address the art licensing thing. And the interesting part is, and I agree that the stolen art is a problem. I'm not saying that it isn't a problem. I don't know how you solve it, but I agree it's a problem. Because the originators of the art that the AI trained on actually spent time and energy and effort. And if there is not, let's not even take like the just part of it, right? Let's take out any sort of justice around it and just talk about practicality. If artists realize that their work will not result in monetary compensation and people are ripping it off, then maybe they're going to stop doing it as much, right? And so then what the AI trains on is going to degrade because there aren't going to be enough new creative thinkers producing the material that the AIs can train on. Like, take out any sense of justice and just talk about facts on what happens when, especially in a capitalist society, people are not properly compensated for the work they do. Yeah, so like, or you do that, right? The artists create poison pills that essentially degrade the AI art. So, that's really the big problem. But what's interesting is, and okay, obviously stating why I agree with it, right? People should get compensated for their work. Do you think, I'm going to do the sort of the devil's advocate. Do you think that an artist who takes a bunch of work of art that they do studies on, someone else's art, they look at it and they try to replicate something that is similar or the same, should they compensate those people for any art that they sell? If you derive your art from somebody else, should you have to compensate the original artist? Then people start paying artists again to train those new models. Yeah. So, right. Xian? I don't know how to say your name, actually. Z? Right. I mean, like, that's when you have sort of disruptive technology change, at some point, it'll normalize and people will get compensated for what they're doing, right? The problem is there's no control over it. Because the internet and because people need to post their art up, you get, AI that can just pull all this data from wherever they want. Right. So, but okay. So I'm gonna go to chat mode because I'm not working and I'm talking. So, AI art. The problem is the AI is doing it at a level of scope and magnitude beyond what an individual human can do. Like a human artist can steal a lot of art by just making their own version of it. Not like people do that with code. They take what someone created in code or they decompile it, but then they make their own version of it. Like, at what point is it stealing versus original ideas? Plenty of people do that all the time. People take an app idea that someone else made and they remake it in their own flavor, and then Candy Crush. Candy Crush was blatantly ripped off from a small indie dev who made their own little app, and it was just a little whatever. And then Candy Crush sued that dev for their game, and they lost. The indie dev lost. So and that was perfectly quote unquote legal, right? So the problem with AI is that it's doing something that individuals could do at such a massive scale that you're like, wow, you're just basically stealing all of our work and churning it into, sellable art. So it's making the iteration time of that smaller. It's still possible, even without AI, to steal people's stuff and then sell it as your own. 100%. Guarantee you people do that. Again, even before AI, there were people who would take, there's like these bots, I guess it wasn't really AI, but kind of, that would take art from Twitter and turn it into t-shirts. Now, again, not totally legal, but people were getting away with it. So it's a curious question. I agree with the idea that people should be compensated, but I also say, right, but then where does that line get drawn? Because it's art. because all the time, streamers do this all the time. They put a picture up while they're streaming, and they draw a piece of art that is either similar or almost the same of what they saw, and maybe in their own style, but it's the same, like, however the scene is set up, they draw the same scene in their own style. Just poison everything, just everybody. You start trying to visually copy someone's art, and then you just die because you got poisoned. I don't know. Like, that's what's the curious part to me, is how do you differentiate? And I agree that the bigger problem is that AI can do it quickly and at a level that is better than you would normally expect. It's like high quality, right? And they even got video, right? And then the ethical things about being able to do video that looks like specific people saying specific things. One thing I think is interesting about this debate is how in the movie book I, Robot, where he asks the robot, can a robot create a beautiful painting? And the robot responds, can you? Which to me implies we did not foresee AI creating art at all, and thinking that it was okay because neither could the average human. Yes. I mean, the average human can't create a work of art unless they've worked at it, right? Like, without any sort of background, you can't just go and make beautiful art. Right. Even the greatest art forgers spend decades perfecting their art, and I have no more respect for that than AI. Right. Well, and I actually was debating this, or talking about this, when it comes to AI development. Using ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot, some would argue that's making code quality worse, and that developers won't be creative, and that you won't get good development. In fact, I don't know if you watch Primogen, but he was making some statement or claim that all the great developers, like, we've had an unusually high amount of great developers in his generation, and now that's not the case. The next generations aren't that way, which is complete BS, just to be clear. PJ. So you're saying we're going to get our butt whooped by AI soon? No, I don't think so. AI depends on the human, right? There's a symbiotic relationship. Once it doesn't depend on us, well, then, all bets are off. But we still have to be the creative thinkers. I think generative AI is great for brainstorming, but actual application will always require human supervision. Yeah. The same way ChatGPT codes can't be copied. But here's the point I was making last week, because I want to say this again because it's so funny to me. I have been in software development. I've been developing for more than 20 years, but software development as a career for like 17 or 18 years. 18 years ago, people were going on the internet, finding snippets of code and copy and pasting that crap into their system and not have any idea how it works. So many developers were doing that back then, consistently. So when we say, like, oh, AI is going to make code quality worse, I'm sorry, I'm going to swear, that is utter bullshit. Code was already bad. People already did that. People got into software engineering. How many people got into software engineering because it pays well, not because they wanted to be good developers? And how many of them just go on the internet and find a solution and copy and paste code, or pull up an open source project and fork it and modify it? How many companies have found success by taking somebody's open source project and leveraging all of that and fucking reselling it? Sorry for the swearing. Like, it is absolutely not going to make code quality worse. Right. So like, my argument about this whole AI thing is, like, arguably it will make things better. Arguably. Because the same Jahoobies that were writing bad code back then are still going to do it, but the code will be more consistent, theoretically. Theoretically, right? Because it's going, yeah, the code might get a little degraded, but you're looking at outcomes now as opposed to how the code looks. And you're right, someone's going to use an AI to create some code that has massive security leaks, and shit gonna break. But guess what? These things already happened before AI. Developers do stupid things in code and stuff breaks all the time. And inevitably, the next generation that learns off of this stuff, they're going to learn how to be good at it. And you're going to have the cream of the crop, the people who know exactly how to leverage this tool set and make it beneficial. And then you're going to have everybody else that does what everybody does, which is blatantly copy and paste as much as you possibly can to make it work. Yes, exactly. The global instant, I think, was it one of the jQuery libraries or something? Or no, it was an image library or something. And the person just took it offline. It took everything down. So like, you have to remember, like, people look at this new technology, and I think some of it is like adoption, and there are definitely people who have an ego about themselves as developers that apply to their decisions about whether to use AI or not. And I just don't think that is going to matter. I don't think there's going to be a degradation in quality. If nothing else, it'll stay the same and it'll swirl a little bit. But I honestly think it'll improve. And I think that I believe there are a lot of people out there in technology that are better at thinking about what they need to have happen than they are about making it happen. And if you get the tool set that generates code to a level that's better, those people will thrive more. Anime is literally finishing syntax I was already going to write. Sympathy, you know the funny part? Because I would put Wallaber in the bucket of developers that are going to be slow to adopt it, because he's just one of the really good, like, he's just freaking brilliant, right? He knows how to write code. He doesn't need any AI to do it. But I can't tell you how many times in the last year I've got on a phone call and Wallaber starts helping me write code. And as I'm starting to type what he's saying, it literally gives the 10 lines of code. He's like, oh yeah, that's basically it. Just change this thing in there. I was like, Wallaber, you should use GitHub Copilot. Why don't you use it? How much time will you save? But it annoys him. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want it to be too opinionated for him. I was like, listen, dude, you'll get stuff done so much faster. I'm wondering if he's secretly using it, but he won't tell me. AI won't architect it yet. Lopar, by the time the suggestion pops up, he's already done typing it. Well, that's one of the problems. Like, the hand coders, people who are of that caliber, they don't need the suggestion. Oh, hey, Wallaber. That's right. Get off my lawn, stupid AI. You have the most impeccable timing, Wallaber. Wallaber is AI. The most impeccable timing ever. I'm not coding right now because we're talking about AI stuff, and I can't focus on it. Although I should make my AI write some code. I don't use Copilot, but I would use Wallabot. I mean, Copilot is like Wallaber. Wallaber, Motzi talking good behind your back, saying you're better than AI. Well, what I was saying was, he doesn't need AI. But, and Wallaber knows this, the number of times he was helping me where I'm sharing my screen and I start to type his suggestion and it gives me the code he was going to tell me to write is a significant percentage. And I'm still like, Wallaber, you just need to try it. Just get Copilot, plug it into Writer, and see how it works for you. Just give it a go. See if it helps. Primeagen uses Copilot. Primeagen I would consider in a similar vein of Wallaber, similar class. And Primeagen is crazy. He uses Vim. I mean, come on. Not Vim like Vimlark, but Vim like the tool. I don't want to be any faster. The act of writing code is the act of learning. That's the fun part. I know, that's what you say. Blah, 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 blah. You're a different brain than me, for sure. But anyway, so I can't read the thread we were going down is like AI and what AI is part of or important for. I think that I also so there's learn by doing and there's learn by reading and failing. And I know you can do all those things, but in my experience, in my career, a majority of the learning happens by taking existing examples and tweaking them and then fixing them or finding issues and then solving those problems. It's not by writing the code. It's by using code and then reading it and changing it. The real treasure are the bugs we made along the way. And so whether it was searching on the internet for how someone did something, hey, booyah, grandma, grand MMA. Are you like an MMA fighter? Because it's mama. Why are we getting raid? Sympathy, you're not raiding me, Sympathy. What? Are you oh, I get it. You raid like bugs. More grandma than MMA fighter. I'm killing the bug. ChatGPT still sucks at drawing pandas. It's not terrible. Not ASCII pandas though. Yeah, it's pretty bad at that. If I think about my career in learning to code, I never learned by, well, that's a bit hyperbolic. I didn't learn by writing code though. That's not how I learned. Writing code was like the necessary step I had to do to break shit to learn. So the sooner I could get code out there that I can test, then I could learn. And yes, I can use my learning to write code, but I don't see writing code as the learning part. Writing code is like the necessary evil to learn the code. They suck at centaurs. Ask AI to draw a centaur if you want to. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'll even pull up my screen in a second and show that once I have it ready. So, and I'm not saying that Wallaber's wrong. I'm saying my opinion is I don't learn to write code. I don't learn to solve problems by writing code. I learn to solve problems by thinking about the outcome I want and getting something to produce it and then testing it and then changing it. I iterate it. Oh my goodness, I once tried to get it to make a giraffe centaur basketball player and it did not get it. I learned by calling Wallaber and asking him what to write. Well, I do that too. Wait, have you ever had Wallaber help you? Because he's really helpful. Please draw me a standard picture of a centaur. Well, I don't know if Mendoza is joking because there's a kappa there. Here. Let's go to... It says it's creating the image. So this is just... I minimal prompting. I didn't say like half man, half horse. Although that would be funny. You know what else is really bad at? Is Where's Waldo pictures. It seems fine. I think so. Please draw me a standard picture. I guess I'm just good at AI prompting. What do you want me to say? Please draw me a Where's Waldo like picture where Waldo is hidden amongst a city full of centaurs. Okay, but ask how many rib cages a centaur has. Mine had a horse head and like 9 human arms. I don't know what to tell you. Sympathy, maybe. Are you using ChatGPT 3.5? Or using ChatGPT 4? Okay, can anyone find Waldo in this picture? This is my favorite thing ever. What is going on with this horse? This is so funny. And there's not centaurs. I mean, there's a horse butt coming out of the side. It's better and better the more you look at it. Now draw Waldo as a centaur. Waldo, yes, but find the horse. It could be funny, like that one picture was the lucky one. The only time you ever will see a properly drawn centaur. Yeah, we're in full distraction mode now, just so you guys know. Who cares about working on fish behaviors? Here's Waldo reimagined as a centaur, complete with his... I'm spitting, this is so funny. Waldo Tar. His red striped shirt. Bobble hat glasses. Enjoy the whimsical take. Okay, now remember that a centaur is half human. So make sure the top half torso is a human male. Now try again and do a centaur version of Waldo. This is cursed. I think it's adorable. I mean, this is super adorable. Waldo with... I mean, listen. You might get an artist to draw this, but... Now, going back to your point, though, Timothy, can you imagine what it trained off of to get to this point? What did it have to train? What in the cursed deepest recesses of its training data gave it the information to create that picture? You know what this reminds me of? If you've seen the movie, what is the movie? God dang it. The Fifth Element. In The Fifth Element, there is a scene in which Bruce Willis is on this like futuristic yacht in a firefight, and everything's getting blown up all around. And there's a deaf, like buff character that's just an NPC in the story, and he goes, "Throw me the gun," because there's a gun right by this character, and he goes, "The gun," and the guy's like, "Huh? Yeah," and he throws these like balls attached by a rope, and Bruce Willis is like, and he's just like, whatever. But it's like, whenever I'm having struggles with people where I'm like, I tell them very clearly what I need and they respond with completely different answers, that's what I think of. Throw me the gun! The gun! I'm in a firefight! Read the room! Now try to get the horse riding piggyback on Waldo. Okay, draw me a classic picture of a centaur. So basically this is degraded. We started here. It's great. Then we poison pilled it down to... down to whatever we've ended up with. I do appreciate when my streaming turns into let's talk about... So it could do a classic picture. Now draw me a classic centaur wearing Waldo with the human half Waldo clothes. I also love that with the AI video, one of the metrics of the quality of the video is whether you can get a vid of Will Smith eating spaghetti. Have you guys seen that meme? Like the main milestone will be when you can have Will Smith eating spaghetti. I guess eating anything, but it was just... There you go. There you go. See? It just took a few. Look at that handsome Waldo. He's not really holding those arrows. And is that string going through his body? Or is it behind it? What is that line? I mean, not terrible though, all things considered. Pretty handsome with the flowing hair. There you go, Sympathy. I don't know what you're talking about. Pretty easy at ChatGPT to draw a picture of Waldo. Awesome. Now, make a herd of classic centaurs with Waldo. I stand corrected. I already did the thing where we do like all the different Waldo pictures, and you cannot make a Where's Waldo picture where it can hide Waldo. Because the second you make Waldo the subject, it has to make the picture. It's something about the way the AI does things. Like Waldo is a subject, therefore it is the thing that you can see, even though you're supposed to be hiding Waldo. It has no idea how to hide it. I've created an image where Waldo's hidden. Enjoy the challenge of finding him in this mythical set. And there's not a single centaur. I have 324 wish lists. Yay! Congrats on the wish list that you finally got logged into, by the way. I mean, the funny part about the joke on AI is everyone's like, oh, AI is not going to take over. I mean, listen, Tesla was misleading about how well its quote-unquote autonomous driving could work. But the speed of the advancements with AI has picked up a bit. I mean, within a year of launching ChatGPT, they've already made a number of major changes. Oh, this is cute. What is this? Look at, there's like a random leg sticking out. This person definitely feels like the awkward one. Oh, look at this one. That is. So there's one almost centaur, except it has weird feet. Okay. Now make that into a puddle. So here's another theory I have about AI. Because everyone thinks about like what it's going to take away, but technology tends to, besides making life worse, create other opportunities. My theory is there's going to be other avenues of creativity that is a combination of individualized creativity and the usage of AI. And I think it's going to create some very interesting outcomes. I don't know yet what that's going to look like, but there's just a lot of new opportunity. That's pretty neat. Like, I should go sell that online. Who cares if there's some artists out there that maybe originated some of the visual style? It's fine. Of course, there's this horse melting into the rump of the other one. He just doesn't understand the concept of centaur. I tried for the scene abstract representation. Now make it more abstract. Have you guys seen those videos, those things where people do a series and they say make it more something and more something, and then they just do it like the and it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. I'm not actually working on anything, obviously, but I'm just having fun with the topic now. I think the other thing I think about with sort of our reactions to technology and the world and what's happening, there's a feedback loop because of all the ways we take information in, and there's the emotional reaction we have to things that I believe make it harder to take a step back and look at the situation differently than what is being presented. Like the reality versus like the way Reddit would talk about it, or the way, whatever news show talks about these things, or the way, YouTube personalities talk about it. Because the other thing about YouTube personalities or streaming personalities, especially the ones that everyone watches, is there's a very good reason why a lot of people watch them. It's because they're feeding information to people that people want to digest. But that doesn't mean that what they're saying is always accurate. I think my reaction is because I have a ton of artist friends. No, I'm legitimately worried for artists, for sure, right? Because what happens when we lose individualized creativity? But in logical arguments, I guess ethical too, but in logical arguments, the slippery slope fallacy is a very commonly used fallacy in our discourse. It's this idea that if X happens, then Y, then Z, then, loop around to A. It's like a, going down a slippery slope, or a ball of snow rolling down a hill and becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And that happens sometimes. There definitely is there is a series of events that if you say, oh, look at how it started and where it ended, that could literally be shown as a slippery slope. But I would also argue that that's not everything, right? And so the reaction to a situation is, it's bad because of where it is now, therefore it's going to be worse later. And I don't know if we have enough information to know that for sure. I just suspect that there's going to have to be a fundamental shift. Like we're all going to be out of jobs during the Industrial Revolution. Correct. One of my favorites was I have a friend who has a different political view from me, who was opposed to government opposed to government defining rules around health, like wearing masks during COVID, or like vaccination or requiring vaccination. And he said, well, now it's going to be a slippery slope. If they can control whether you can be home or not, or what you can do, they mysteriously can control everybody. I said, well, that's 100% slippery slope, and demonstrably nothing came of it that way. Now, granted, we also learned a lot about people in that whole phase of life, but that's another case where all of a sudden everyone's going to be controlled and locked down, and the government's going to prevent you from doing. No, they're not. Come on, man. I mean, the problem is in the U.S., the way we view government is different than some other countries. And so, what we consider conservatism and liberalism is actually different in other countries as it relates to government. Because in some countries, government is so ingrained in how the world works for them that being liberal or progressive might actually be completely anti-government. No, we don't want any government. Whereas, it's weirdly askew in the U.S. It's no big government, but big government. And anyway, that's totally tangential to the topic of AI, although that's going to be a thing too, I guess, and how AI affects, government technology. Anyway, not to get so deep in the weeds there. I don't think I got anything else to say about AI art. Speaking of AI, let's go write some AI code. If we think of AI as separate and dispassionate, as in not curated by humans, then it will destroy us, right? If AI is additive in the end, if it is something that is not only constructed by the human thought process, but also informed and trained by, then there is opportunity to look at it as more symbiotic. But there's also no telling what could happen, right? We can create something that will destroy us for sure. I don't think it will turn out that way. There is a book series. There's a book series that some people might have read by Robert Jordan called The Wheel of Time. I think it's the only series he wrote, for that matter. And in the book, if you've been reading the books, and spoiler alert, but if you don't even know anything about it, don't worry about it. In the book, though, there's this whole concept of some of the main characters can go to this place where they can see the past. They see their history, like where they started and how they arrived at who they are. And the revelation is so dramatic that some people never make it through, because there's like this warrior clans, and they came from a peaceful group of people, and that's like so dissonant from what they believe that some people can't handle it. But when the book gets to the end, like it gets to the other half of things, or the final part, it shifts, and now the characters are seeing the future. But the point is about seeing the future, not that future is guaranteed to happen, but the presentation of what might happen might cause those people to make better decisions. And so part of what I've thought is like, our whole collective unconscious about what could happen, like all of the dystopian futures, I guess arguably some of our life right now is dystopian, and all of the apocalyptic things, and like the zombies and AI taking over, could also be similar to that, where it's like we create the fear of the thing so that in theory maybe we'll make some decisions to prevent it from happening. Although, again, the last 6 years, 8 years of the world has really disabused me about a lot of assumptions I had about people. I hope that 2024 is not in any history books in 100 years. Well, don't worry. If they are sympathy, it'll be written by AI. Talk about opportunity. Right now, if I scroll, I occasionally look at my Facebook. I see competing ads. One ad is learn how to make the most of AI and write a book in a day or something, right? It's like learn how to master the use of AI to create books. And then the other one's like, write a book without using AI. And it's like completely different, like completely opposing views. And both people are trying to capture an audience to sell. And if anything, I've learned about the game dev industry, or industry in general, from my day job, is that there are consumers, pure consumers of things. I mean, we're all consumers of something. And then there are the people who sell you those things. And the mentality of a consumer versus the mentality of a seller are different. When you think of selling something to make your business successful, especially businesses that are demonstrably successful, you do not think the same way as a consumer. And therefore, the way the consumer thinks about what they're buying is not the same thing that the way the people sell it think. And I know that's kind of weird, like, oh yeah, that's obvious, but consider that advertisement and the way messaging is presented and the way entertainment is presented. All of those things are thought differently by the people presenting it than the people buying it. And that's crazy to me, because as a consumer of things, if I look at it as a consumer, I can see how, oh yeah, well, this is something I buy. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But then I think about, like, as the person selling it, like, oh yeah, they're giving me this message because they think I'll buy it. They're not giving me anything insightful or crazy. They're selling me something because they think I will buy it. And so they're giving me messaging that they believe will trigger me as the audience member, whatever it is, whether it's entertainment or buying a physical good, so that I will purchase it. And it's true that it's not mutually exclusive from someone legitimately providing a product I want or I need. But I absolutely guarantee you 100% that some amount of things that I buy as a consumer, I don't freaking need. And most people don't need or want. But because of the messaging, or because there's some interest, I might buy it. And if those people that are selling can convince me to buy it, even if I don't necessarily want it, then they make money. And so that's the whole thing they're thinking about, is how do I sell this to these people? I know I'm not really like, it's not a, it might sound like I'm being, what is the word? Cynical? It's not a cynical view of the world. It's a practical view of what it takes to sell something versus what it takes to buy something. And I'm just getting off on a completely massive rant tangent about this, because it's just like, it's mind-blowing to step back and look at it from the outside. AI, the language learning models, has some actual quality value to it that people can find use of. But the hype of it is like a billion times, or some absurd number of times more than the actual value that it produces. Because people can sell you shit on AI. That's it. They can sell you stuff on it because it has enough meat behind it. Yeah, I don't want the Apple Vision Pro does not sound interesting to me. It sounds interesting to me from a study of how this technology will evolve. But I've also heard that, and this is obviously, I didn't read the studies about this, but the introduction of AR or virtual reality is actually affecting people's brains. Hey, Kat, how are you? How was your stream? Welcome, Raiders, Reese VT, Little Witch, and Simply's responding. How was your stream? What did you work on? Did you do some development tonight, or were you playing some games again? I stopped by your stream to lurk. Was it today? Was I lurking today? And you were playing, was you playing Deep Rock Galactic? Was that you? Can't remember. I know you're probably getting ready to head out too, by the way, so don't worry if you're just leaving. It was all right. Mostly just finished up an animation for the new shotgun. That's cool. Cool beans, yo. I am luring things in. Things are alluring. I'll show you guys what I'm doing right now with our game. The game I am working on. Yeah, I was like, that doesn't look like Deep Rock Galactic that I know, because I thought it was a FPS, but apparently there's also a top-down version of the game. Anyway, this is the game I'm working on. What? I'm not, technically I'm not working on it right now, because instead all I'm doing is ranting about AI and buying and selling stuff and whatever. But you know, theoretically, it's a spin-off inspired by Vampire Survivors. Oh, okay, got it. But right now I'm working on a fishing mini game. But I think given the timing, I'm probably not too far off from wrapping up myself. And I've gotten to the point of what I need to do next. But I legitimately didn't do a lot of work tonight. I don't know. So like, the next thing that I have to do here, so this is the luring phase of fishing. I need to make it so the fish go towards and grab the hook. The current fishing game in the game is extremely simplistic. All it is you cast in the water and you wait. And you don't do anything, you just wait. And then it hooks. And then you reel in the fish. I can't wait for Alterium Shift Survivor spinoff. Although you might need to work on an acronym. Yes. Well, like, I'm still waiting for someone to call it Alterium. Well, anyway. So look at, I even made a little like hook line. I don't have a sinker. Like a little line between it that stretches a little bit as the bobber is reeled in. Yeah, and then it stops working because I'm reeled in. You know, it's cool. But I do have a reeling phase, but because I haven't, that's the first thing I did actually. I made the reeling solution before I even made the casting solution. And then I started doing casting. I'm like, oh, I can make a cast. Oh, I can make a cast. I wonder if I could make it so you could have fish underneath. And so my evolution is like phases of scope creep or fish creep. A little fishy. So I feel like I should do a basic, simple fish behavior for the fish going towards the hook, right? So what I could do is, if well, actually no, the hook condition already covers this. So what I need to do is make something that alters the fish behavior by giving the fish a target, and the behavior is going to be on the actual fish. Which means I need to somehow determine the association from a fish in the water to the behavior that's executing on it. Talk about ADHD. I just went from talking about like AI stuff, and now I'm like, all right, let's go right back into this. Who knows what I'm talking about now? So these behaviors are meant to be associated with the generic fish object. I'll probably be playing base DRG next week since they have the anniversary. Oh, that's cool. I've never played Deep Rock Galactic. My buddy told me I should, but I've been doing the game dev for a while now, so I just haven't had time to play, to play much. And it's not like FPS games aren't really my thing. I've been playing Creeper World. That's what I play. Creeper World. Okay, so we have an interesting challenge. I think that what I need to do for alluring fish behavior is I need to make an initializer. That's what I need to do. And this is where I'm kind of bastardizing it. Really, maybe I should have like a different track for behaviors, and maybe I should not have a base class here, but YOLO, whatever. Because what I need to do in this is I need to give it the fish, right? So what I'm going to do is make an initializer. No, I can't do an initializer. I have to make an initializer specific to the luring behavior. So public virtual. Actually, how am I going to do this? Crap. I'm trying to make time to play games again, but working on my game suffers. Yeah, I know. Exactly, right? That's understandable. I wish I had more time for games myself. I know. Little Witch. I'm reading everything in reverse. That's basically my brain 24/7. Yes. Well, I have ADD. It's... oh, man. Tiramisu. I can't remember how I said your name. What? I missed a raid high. Well, it still shows you as a raider. Tiramisu? How do you say it? Okay, hold on. Let's brain this for a second. So we have a fish swimming behavior that represents the fish swimming in the water. At the moment, it is not directly associated with fish, the actual game fish object. Okay, but it can be. So we're going to go to the swimming behavior, a controller, and we're going to have to give it the fish. That's what we're going to have to do, right? So we're going to have to tell it what fish it is, or we're going to have to give it the context, maybe. No, we have to tell it what fish it is. So we're going to do private game fish data. We have to tell it what fish it is. All right, get some Z's, Mendoza. Sleep well. Talk to you later. Thanks for hanging out. Just call her Amy. Okay, Amy. Got it. My parents' little Italian dog is named Tiramisu, and they call him Misu for short. It's a sweet name, yeah. Sweet name because it's like... It's funny because my name's inspired by Amaterasu from Okami. I don't know that name. Because I don't... That's some anime probably, right? Okay, so we need to give it fish data. Which means I'm going to need an initializer, which I don't have in here. So we're going to add an initializer. Public void initialize. And we'll give it the fish data that it will use. I'm not going to let it guess. I'm going to give it one. So we're going to do game fish data. Copilot. I don't like this part where it like moves aside my brackets. I can delete them. Planeta. Hey, I've been in radio mode for a while. I can finally get to the PC to hang out. How's it going? It's going well. You're not the first time caller. Going well. I just, after my rants, I'm going to try and get a little bit done with this fish behavior. I'd like to, if not make the fish actually grab the hook, make a fish potentially touch the hook like it was going to grab it. I'd like to finish it that way. Anyway, Mendoza, see you later, by the way. Bye. Okay, so we have the fish behavior. So we have to decide how the freaking fish behavior is going to work. I feel like I have to give it. How do I reference? How do I reference the fish? Either the behavior has to modify how the fish works, or the behavior has to inform what the fish needs to do next. And right now, this is the part where the fish's direction, I actually need to override like the fish's direction. How the direction is determined. Excuse me. Misu, good dessert, better animal protagonist. Let's see, direction? Is there... How does this get used? This is part of randomized fish start. So there's not really, it always does randomized fish start. Okay. I don't I don't have something that actually changes direction. This is the thing that changes direction. Ensure fish within boundaries. Smoothly transition flip. So really I should just change the name of this because it's confusing. Direction. It is a fish. I don't think this type of fish. Icarus7, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. I'll try not to fly too close to the sun in my streaming. Okay. So how does it work? So I need to figure out my life choices. How do you center a div? Very carefully, Jay. Very carefully. The trick is don't use divs. Are you talking about responsive design or you do flexes? I've used a number of ways in my life. You move the monitor up and down. How do you center a div in Unity? You don't, because there's no such thing. Well, actually, do they have divs now? They're in their HTML5 like thing. Use a ruler. Here, wait. Let's see if hold on. I wonder what ChatGPT would say about centering a div. How do you centaur a div? How do you centaur a div? I don't know if sympathy's still here, but this is so perfect and related to our. Here's a simple example of how you might achieve a centaur-like division with a single div, with the top half designed for human content and the bottom half for. Hey, it conceptually understands it. I gotta Twitter it. I don't know how I would turn this into a tweet. Class centaur. It uses flex too. Align items, center, background color, sandy brown. Oh my god, this is amazing. In practically speaking, it actually understands the concept. Use only transition. Awesome. Now can you draw me a picture of this? Cryptid layout draft spec. Now, what I do like about ChatGPT, it's so positive. It's like, doesn't matter what problem you're trying to solve. It doesn't say, this is, this will be a challenge for me. It's like, okay, sure. I'll draw a picture of whatever you, like, what is it going to draw? I just said, can you draw me a picture of this? Oh my goodness. Human. Nayun. What's a Nayun? It's confidently wrong. But I love that it described a centaur. We are the Nayun. I introduced my daughter to ChatGPT. Now she won't stop pestering me about, oh, tell it to draw this, tell it to draw that. I was like, oh my gosh. But she's an artist too. She should be like, she's going to be the generation that adopts it wholeheartedly, right? I get such, oh man, I just get such a kick out of this. Nice. Now show me a realist web using this centaur light layout. I don't know. How easily I went from trying to figure out fish behaviors to ChatGPT again. How do you centaur a div? Indeed. It reminds me. So, person I work with, the manager of the development team, she once was referring to some problem, and you know the analogy: throw them in the water or throw them in the deep end and let them sink or swim or whatever, or see if they swim. She said, throw them to the wolves and see if they swim. And I thought that was the best mashup of analogy. And I think then my other coworker made a chat GPT version of it, and it had like a person swimming in water with a bunch of wolves hovering all around it. It was great. There we go. Look, human horse. This is how you centaur a div. It is Interlarijun. There's actual words here. I can't zoom it though. Oh, but Albertian. Me finding an IR air swim glitch to avoid the wolves. Yeah. Nice. Now can you draw a picture of the phrase throw the wolves, see if they... We're off topic, clearly. I'm trying to figure out how to make the fishes wiggle and move around. Okay, so the thing is, this is where I'm like, I probably can't finish this like I want to tonight, because I need to rethink how I want a fish's path to be determined. That's a cool picture. I'll show you in a second. I think that I need to figure out like when I'm trying to solve this sort of problem, I don't want a behavior to directly manipulate the fish. And I don't want the fish to know a ton about the behavior. I want the fish to say, what's my behavior and what do I do next? And so what I think I need to do is have the behavior capable of informing the next point or the next direction of movement. And that's it. The behavior for whether a fish is going towards or away from the hook is going to be evaluated separately. And the behavior is going to say, all right, here's where I think you should go next. And the fish is going to interpret that and move. Here it is. Throw them the wolves and see if they swim. This looks like the wolves are fighting, although that one has a bit of an overbite issue, I think. Anyway, I know y'all just got rated in, but I think I've hit my limit of development. And while I could go play a video game, I also think I'm not going to. I think I'm good. My voice is getting a little hoarse. No pun intended. It's getting a little hoarse. Maybe it's getting a little off centaur. And I think it's time for me to wrap up. As much fun as I'm having tonight with all of this discussion. Thanks for the stream and see you around. Thanks, Kat. Thanks for stopping in and for the raid. I'm going to find somewhere to raid you as well. Maybe next Saturday I'll test the idea of doing some kind of talk related to technology. I'll try it, maybe. You can call me KT. Oh, okay. I thought you went by Cat for some reason. KT, that's what I'll call you. Sorry about that. I don't know why I got it in my mind that that's what I would call you. Jitbo or not a lot of developers on my stream list. I guess Jitbo. He's actively working on stuff. He's doing animation stuff. Paintball devlog. What is he working on? Typing zombies to death and doing some video editing. Oh, he's doing video editing. Evan MMO. I am a cat, and some people will just call me that, but it's weird from someone who isn't a close friend. No worries. I agree, and I appreciate you telling me. I wanted one quick anecdote, because one of the reasons I know that I have some level of neurodivergence is the things that people are doing now with things like consent and pronouns and asking people how they want to be called. I've always done that because it's what makes sense, I guess. I mean, I'm just cis white hetero male, but I don't like, I've always thought, first off, consent is paramount. You need to ask someone for their consent for things. And I've learned the hard way about it. And I immediately changed my behavior because I'm, oh crap, I need to be more thoughtful about what someone wants, because I don't know how else to think about the world. And so it's funny to me that for some measure of our society, the concept of consent is new. And the concept of, how should I say your name? Let me say it how you want me to say it. Or how could I say your pronouns? That's a new thing. And it's certainly something I had to learn recently, but like, it wasn't something that, oh, I have to remember. I was like, oh, good. Here's a new thing that I get to learn, that I know how to, whatever. It's just funny to me to see that, because I think back as my childhood and I realized I didn't know how else to be, right? Because it was just how I was wired or something. Not because there's some mystical magic about me. It was just like funny to realize that as an adult now, looking back at it. Kind of weird. Okay, let's see. Game engine dev gone wrong. Let's go check out Evan. Frankly, I prefer people to just tell me what they prefer, so I don't have to think about it. Tell me what you want. Tell me how I'm supposed to talk. I'll change my behavior if I can. It makes my life easier not to have to guess. All right, all y'all, have a great night. We're going to go see Evan MMO and his RPG thing he's got going on here. And I'll be back on Tuesday. Bye. Have a good night, y'all.